of changes were made over the years you were at RCA?
I'm sorry?
What kinds of changes were made over the years you were at RCA?
Well, as far as physical, I would say different as far as like working conditions, or just all around?
All around, working conditions, relationships with management, things like that.
Well, the union got better with the company. We got on, more closely, better working relationship with them. Not that we had a bad one, but we always worked hand in hand. We want the company to do as well as the company does. But as far as benefits got, they were great for a long time. And the wages got better. Negotiated contracts every 4 years, 3 years. There's some changes in the company itself. The logos went from the stained glass to the block letters back in '68. And that was originally to compete with IBM as far as like a modern look. That was David Sarnoff Jr., which actually was a bad move on his part. They put him back in '76. And, it's kind of like you can't forget your heritage. In fact, to this day, L3 uses the original logo out on the monument. And one of the CDs we do, I gave him a wind-up horn machine. And it shows from Caruso singing to the space station. So, you've been around for over 100 years. You can't forget your heritage, So, it's been an incredible change.
How much did RCA influence the growth of Camden?
Oh gosh, quite a bit. RCA and Campbell Soup in that area, with the amount of people, was like a city in a city. You had restaurants, bars, all kinds of stores, grocery stores. Had to be, at least 15, 20 stores that basically depended on RCA and the overflow from Campbell Soup. And now there is one, maybe two. So very, very much supported the city. And not just with that, with taxes and everything else, but there was 10,000 people just in RCA at one point. With buses, ferries, speed lines, trolleys. So it really supported the whole, area on both sides of the river. But just an incredible place to work.
Can you describe how you felt when RCA was bought out by GE?
I won't say what I said, but it wasn't a good feeling, put it that way. Well, we weren't, actually, it was probably not real negative, but I've always been extremely happy with RCA. They've been a great place to work. And even if your area was slow, they would find something for you to do, and just a real family-oriented. And, rumors about GE being, Jack Welch, Neutron Jack, and coming in and picking apart the company, that didn't sit well with a lot of people. Although we did get the 401k from GE, which was a big plus. We didn't have that under RCA. So there were some positives, but the negatives were that he broke the company up. They took NBC, they kept that. Rumor had it they bought it for the stock or the pension plan and NBC, which is basically what they, separated from the rest of the company. They were supposed to sell us off, spin us off somewhere. And Local 103, my union, the president and the executive board went to Jim Florio and were able to secure a loan from the state of New Jersey. At the time, it started at $66 million to build the two buildings where they're at now, which was where Campbell Soup was. And I guess it probably grew into 80, but so it kept a lot of people working, and it kept the original company stay in Camden. So, but it was also good for the economy of Camden. So,
What did you enjoy about working at RCA?
And even today, you know, the closeness of everybody, everybody's like family. Maybe not as much today as it was back then, but I mean, you go into an area, somebody had a coffee concession, or, you know, selling candy, or, you know, sausage one day at Christmas time, and you know, people were always, you know, trying to make a couple extra bucks, so they would bring cases of something in, and you had thousands of people to buy it. But it was just neat, you know, you come in every day and see these people. It was great.
Well, that's all the interview questions I have for you. Is there anything else you'd like to share about your experiences with RCA?
Yeah, it was interesting. A lot of people collect items from RCA today because of the, you know, the impact that they had on the world. Excuse me, my allergies are killing me today. To this day, from the wind-up phonograph to television, the original CDs, DVDs were done at RCA. The original email was RCA, believe it or not. I can't think off the top of my head. I have all the documentation. Much to my wife's dismay, I keep a lot of this stuff, but it was somehow through the phone line you would get emails, and it would be instant, you know, well, probably like 3 or 4 minutes back then, but it's just incredible, a lot of the stuff they came out with. They never stuck with it. And even computers, they had a computer line. They built the Bismack, and they spun that off to Sperry Univac, I think, and the union was strongly against that in the late 60s. And they sold off the computer, you know, division, and then couldn't have been 5 years later, Apple, you know, computers started taking off. That took a while to take off, but, you know, gosh knows where we'd be today with it. We're pretty much commercial now, but I'm sorry, government now. Back then it was 70% commercial, so we'd probably still be heavily in the commercial industry. But also just the way the plant was set up, it was self-contained with its own, would make its own electricity. We had boilers that were, you know, we'd push steam, 18-inch steam lines, like 6 city blocks. We had to heat 1.6 million square feet. These were old, you know, 100-year-old preformed concrete buildings. And, you know, just the tunnels and the guards. There were so many people that would come in the morning. I remember picking my father up and my mother. We would pull up in a Dodge Dart. I guess I was 10 or whatever. And it was like 10 of 5. Every time it had to be 10 of 5. Hurry up, we got to pick your father up. And 10 of 5, I'd, you know, pull up, and he'd come running out the door on Delaware Avenue. And I thought, what the hell is he, you know, what's he in a hurry about? Well, 10 minutes later, you're going to have like 5,000 people pouring out of the plant. You know, when the bell went off, you know, that most people had to hit a time card, but he was a supervisor, so, you know, he would slide out a couple minutes early, and, you know, he'd hit the gas, we'd be on our way. But even in the morning, you would come in, and the guards would be out there, and they'd radio because they couldn't find a parking spot. The parking lot was huge. It's the one next to the aquarium now. Well, there's buildings built on it now, but there was just so many cars, it was phenomenal. But you had lunch trucks on every corner, probably had 10 lunch trucks, and it's just a great, great spot to work. But I could go on for another hour with this, but we'll leave it at that.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.